What's up everyone? For the past 5 days, my primary phone, this iPhone 15 Pro, has been running the very first developer beta of iOS 26. As you might expect, with a brand new beta, the first day was a challenge with lag and poor battery life. But I've been using it as my daily driver, and I've come away with a clear picture of what Apple is building. They're calling the new design Liquid Glass, and it's more than just a new look, it's a complete rethinking of the user interface, aiming for a more fluid and layered feel. In this review, I'll break down my full 5-day experience. We'll cover the controversial new design, major updates to core apps like Photos and Camera, the journey from initial lag to stable performance, a new feature called Adaptive Power Mode, and the latest with Apple Intelligence. We'll also discuss the important topic of app compatibility, so you know what to expect. Let's get started. Look at the lock screen. As I pull up to unlock, you can see how the entire interface melts away with this incredibly smooth, glassy effect. It's not a simple fade, it's a transformation. Apple's official documentation highlights how the time on the lock screen now dynamically adapts to the available space in your wallpaper photo. If you have a portrait, the numbers will fluidly tuck in behind the subject, keeping them in full view, and then expand again when a notification arrives. Furthermore, if you move the phone around, new spatial scenes use machine learning to analyze your 2D wallpaper and give it a subtle, convincing 3D effect, adding a layer of depth we haven't seen before. This carries over to the home screen. The app icons themselves are no longer flat tiles, they're crafted from what appears to be multiple layers of digital glass, giving them a tangible depth and a subtle sheen as they catch the light. You can choose from updated light and dark appearances, new color-tinted icons, or a stunning all-clear look that makes your icons completely transparent. And when I open a folder, you get that same glassy, translucent container that blurs the background. It's this consistency that sells the entire effect. This design philosophy extends deep into all of Apple's native applications. Take a look at Apple Music, for example. The tab bar at the bottom, which used to be a static solid element, now floats above your content. When I start scrolling through my library, look how it dynamically shrinks down to a thin pill, getting out of the way to put the content front and center. But the moment I scroll back up, it fluidly expands back to its full size, ready for interaction. It's this constant physics-based motion that makes the OS feel so responsive and alive. And in Safari, the change is even more dramatic. The browser has been redesigned to feel more immersive. The web page content now flows from the very top edge to the very bottom of the screen, essentially eliminating the top and bottom bars when you're reading. This gives you significantly more vertical real estate for your content, while the redesigned compact tab bar at the bottom keeps essential actions like refresh and search just a tap away. It feels genuinely futuristic and makes the old design seem restrictive by comparison. But as I mentioned at the start, it's not all perfect. There's good news and bad news with a design this bold. If you're using your phone in light mode paired with a bright, colorful, or busy wallpaper, you've likely run into the same issue I have: readability. The very translucency that makes Liquid Glass so beautiful can also be its biggest weakness. Text on buttons, widgets, and especially within the control center can become incredibly difficult to read as it gets lost against the colors and shapes of the background wallpaper. The low level of blur and the transparency effects that look so great in controlled demos can fail in real-world usage, creating a frustrating experience where you have to squint to see what an icon or a toggle does. This has been one of the most common complaints I've seen from other users testing this first beta. Fortunately, it seems Apple anticipated this potential pitfall. There is a built-in solution, and it's an essential tip for anyone running this beta. If you're struggling with readability, you can navigate to Settings, Accessibility, Display and Text Size, and find a toggle labeled Reduce Transparency. Turning this on will add a darker, more opaque background to the glassy interface elements. It doesn't revert the design back to the old iOS 18 look, but it dramatically increases the contrast between the text and the background, making everything instantly more legible. It's a crucial fix that makes the OS much more usable for many people right now. Beyond the glossy new exterior, iOS 26 brings a wave of simplification and refinement to the core applications we interact with every single day. The overarching theme seems to be less clutter, more focus, a philosophy that is most apparent in the Photos, Camera, and Settings apps. Let's start with the Photos app, because for many of us, this is a huge, long-awaited fix. Apple has finally answered the collective feedback of its user base. You can see it right here at the bottom of the screen. They've brought back separate distinct tabs for library and collections. This simple change completely gets rid of the confusing, endlessly scrolling, and hard to navigate interface that was introduced in iOS 18. Finding the specific photo you're looking for is now so much more direct and intuitive. The search bar has also been neatly tucked into the bottom right corner, keeping it accessible but out of the way. This isn't a flashy new feature, it's a massive quality of life improvement that demonstrates Apple is listening to user frustration. Next up is the camera, and Apple has gone for a really clean minimalist look here. By default, the screen is almost completely empty. You have the viewfinder, the shutter button, and just two simple modes below it, photo and video. All the other modes we use all the time, like portrait, pano, or cinematic, and even settings like the timer and filters are now hidden. To get to them, you just swipe up from the bottom, or you can swipe directly on the shutter button to bring up that menu. So it's important to know that the features aren't gone, they've just been reorganized. This makes the main camera view way less distracting, but the trade-off is that it's not immediately obvious where everything is. It seems the goal here was to make taking a quick picture or video as simple as humanly possible. The Settings app also gets a facelift with the liquid glass treatment, but the most significant functional change I've found is in the battery section. The old, somewhat utilitarian list of toggles and a simple graph is gone. Now when you enter the battery settings, you're greeted with a large, clear battery percentage bar that visually shows your remaining power. Right below it, the system gives you an estimated time in minutes of how long it will take to charge your device to 80% and then to a full 100%. This works for both wired and wireless charging and is incredibly useful for planning. Below that, a new daily usage section provides trend data, comparing your current battery consumption to your typical usage for that specific time of day. It might say something like, you're using a similar amount of battery today as you usually do by 1 a.m. It's far more informative, educational, and user-friendly than the previous design. Also, we've got a new adaptive power mode. Here's how it works. Your phone basically learns your daily routine. If it senses you're having a day where the battery is draining faster than usual, like you're on a trip, taking tons of photos and videos, it will step in automatically. And the changes don't stop there. The official announcements and my own digging have revealed a ton of other noteworthy updates across the system, but we'll talk to it in later video. Okay, let's talk about performance and battery life, because my experience over these 5 days tells a classic beta story, one that mirrors what many others in the developer community are reporting. Day 1 was, to put it mildly, a mess. The phone was consistently hot, animations stuttered, and the battery life was abysmal. As I mentioned, I had to charge my iPhone 15 Pro 3 separate times just to get through the day. This is normal, and it's important to understand why. When you install a major new OS, the device kicks off a massive series of background tasks. It has to re-index your entire file system for Spotlight search, reanalyze your entire photo library for memories and object recognition, and essentially rebuild all of its cache data from scratch. This is an incredibly intensive, power-hungry process that can take a day or two to complete. But then, the turnaround began. By day 3, things had started to settle down significantly, the phone was running much cooler, the severe battery drain had subsided, and while it still wasn't as good as stable iOS 18, it was becoming more predictable and manageable. And now on day 5, it's a world of difference. The excessive heat is gone, and the battery is comfortably getting me through most of the day with my normal usage. To get a more objective look, I ran a Geekbench benchmark test and the results were fascinating. My CPU score on this first iOS 26 beta was only about 1% lower than my score on the last stable version of iOS 18.5. This is a strong start and tells us something very important. The raw processing power of the hardware is still there. The A17 Pro chip isn't the bottleneck. The lag I'm still experiencing, and you can see it here as I try to quickly open a stack of applications in sequence, UI level stutter. This is the result of unoptimized code, specifically the new liquid glass animations and system processes that haven't been fully ironed out yet. This is precisely the kind of issue that Apple will address and refine over the course of the beta cycle. I fully expect this choppiness to be gone by the time the public release ships in the fall. So let's talk about Apple Intelligence. In iOS 26, it's about to get a whole lot smarter, in a way that goes beyond just Siri. It's learning to see The big new feature is called visual intelligence. Now, if you follow the tech world, you might be thinking, this sounds a lot like the circle to search feature on Android, and you're right, it is similar. But Apple is adding its own touch by weaving it deeply into the iPhone system and focusing heavily on privacy. The basic idea is that you can be in any app, look at anything on your screen, and your phone will understand it. For example, I can be looking at a jacket in Safari, and just by highlighting it, my phone can search for more info, or even help me find it in a store. It's very practical. But it's more than just a shopping tool. Let's say a friend texts you a flyer for an event. Visual intelligence can read the date, time, and location on that flyer and offer to create a calendar event for you with all the details filled in automatically. It can also use ChatGPT to help you ask more detailed questions about what you're seeing. That feature alone is really useful, but it's not the biggest news here. The most exciting part, in my opinion, is something Apple announced for developers. They're releasing a foundation models framework. That sounds technical, but what it means is that the powerful on-device AI that Apple built is now a tool that any app developer can use for free. They can build their own smart features that run quickly and privately right on your phone, even when you're offline. So this isn't just about Apple adding a new search feature. It's about them building a foundation for all the apps on your phone to become more helpful and intelligent. That's the real story. Okay, let's tackle a critical, practical issue that many of you have asked about. I mentioned earlier that one of my banking apps stopped working the moment I installed iOS 26. This is a very common and often frustrating experience for beta testers, and it's incredibly important to understand why this happens. This is the key takeaway I want you to remember. This is almost never a bug that Apple needs to fix. The reason your banking app, your corporate VPN, or another high security app might not work on a beta is a deliberate security decision made by the app's developers. In this case, the bank. And this is why I and every other experienced tech reviewer will always give you this word of caution. Do not install a developer beta on your mission-critical daily driver device unless you are fully prepared to accept these risks. It's not just about dealing with some UI lag or poor battery life. You could genuinely be locked out of your money, your work network, or other essential services. It's fun to be on the cutting edge, but it can come with very real-world consequences. So after 5 days with iOS 26 on my one and only iPhone, what's the verdict? Honestly, the first couple of days were a bit rough with some heat and lag, which I totally expected. But now that things have settled down, I can really see what Apple is building towards, and it gets me genuinely excited. The new liquid glass design is a fresh take, and even with a few early quirks, it makes my old iPhone on iOS 18 feel ancient. Plus, the updates to apps like Photos and Camera are smart changes that just make sense. Features like Adaptive Power Mode are a peek into Apple's future plans, and it's looking pretty cool. Even with the usual beta bugs and battery weirdness, I have no plans to downgrade. The potential here is just too good. So should you install it? For most people, I'd say definitely wait for the public beta in July, or even better, the final release this fall. But if you're a developer or just love testing new tech and know the risks, just make sure you back everything up first. What do you think of the new look? Let me know your favorite new feature in the comments below. If this was helpful, a quick thumbs up would be amazing. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to follow the iOS 26 journey with me this summer, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm Serdi Hatter from Tech Titans, and I'll catch you in the next one.